Hello everybody and welcome to Pravus Gaming and a brand new series for this channel, Endless Legend. Now I've wanted to play this game for a while and haven't really gotten around to it, but Endless Legend just recently released a new expansion, Inferno. So this seems like a great opportunity to jump into the game, find out if it will perform well on this channel because I think it is pretty cool and deserves a lot of credit. For those of you who may not be familiar, Endless Legend is a 4X strategy game. It is going to make immediate comparisons to Civilization for a lot of people. But I don't think that's a very fair comparison. Civilization does have a lot of the same kinds of mechanics, but it's a bit more linear. No matter which Civ you play as, you kind of are playing the same game regardless. There's a little bit of extra tweaks here and there for every Civ to give them an advantage or disadvantage. Endless Legend, I would say, is interesting because it is a bit more asymmetrical. Each of the factions feel far more unique in how they play. There's lots of different advantages, disadvantages, different ways of really winning the game if you try. So I think this game is really compelling. Also, the theme is awesome. It looks like a fantasy game on face value, and it kind of is, or at least they certainly would think that it is, but at the same time, it's also kind of a sci-fi game. It's a little bit complicated. The lore is excellent and worth pursuing at some points, but I won't bog you all down with it right now. For today's campaign, we are going to be playing as the Kapaku, these little guys right over here. They are the new faction that was introduced in the Inferno expansion. Survivors of the decimation of their own world, the Kapaku have slumbered for centuries as they crossed the stars. Emerging onto Auriga's horrifyingly vibrant and green lands, they have a single aim, to recreate their old world of ash and lava. Now you can kind of glean from the story there that these guys are aliens brought to this world of Auriga here. Not all the factions are native to this planet. Some are ancient, some are new, and then some have been brought here by various forces, which we'll experience more as we go. These guys used to live on a volcano planet, and they want to turn Auriga into their new home and terraform it. That's kind of their story. For today's game settings, we're going to have 6 different empires. I'm going to play on serious difficulty because it's a good, strong difficulty that I think will make for a fair challenge. But because I'm relatively new to the game, I don't want to ramp all the way up to impossible and endless. Think of this like Emperor difficulty on Civilization. Impossible and endless is when the AI starts to outright cheat. I'm not really able to handle that right now. We'll play a normal game speed. Everything else here I think I'll kind of leave by default. Let's just jump into it, and I'll try to explain as much about it as I can as we go.
Our world was a paradise of ash and fire. Until the gods brought their doom upon us. Even with our golems, our ingenuity, we were no match for their power. Broken and scattered, we would have perished if not for our saviors. They brought us to this world. Gave us a new purpose. And new powers to make it ours. And we will make it ours. No matter the sacrifice.
Okay, so that kind of gives you a good intro to the game. Alright, we've already met another player, the Draken. Dragon people! That's pretty fun. Alright, so you've already seen our faction introduction. We'll explain a little bit more about this as we go. Welcome to Auriga. This is the planet that everyone will play on. If you guys have ever played the game Endless Space, you might know a little bit of what's going on already. Basically, from what I can remember, there is one super powerful race that existed and dominated most of the universe that eventually kind of split up into 2, the bad guys and the good guys, sort of, kind of. It's a bit more complicated than that, but it sounds like the Kapaku got attacked by the bad ones, and some of the good ones saved them and brought them to this world and gave them terraforming technology to try and turn it into a volcanic world. There's a whole quest and storyline that we'll learn as we go, so I won't spoil too much about it. But if you've ever played Endless Space, that's kind of a good way to learn about how this works. So, one major difference you're going to notice right off the bat from Civilization is this little bar right here indicating regions in the game. You can only settle 1 city per region. So the first thing we need to do is settle our city and figure out where we want to place it. Now over here we can see what the basic resources are. There is food, industry, science, and dust. Think of dust kind of like your money, but it's a bit more complicated than that. A lot of these things are going to be more complicated than it seems at first value. We want to get as much good food and industry at the beginning of the game as possible. Maybe moving on into other stuff a little bit later. Let's see. There's a few anomalies here. Here's a lava geyser, some caldera lakes, chromatic lands. There's a ruin right here. Lava geysers, even more science. This region over here looks pretty good because it has a good amount of industry and food. This area looks okay, too, for a lot of good science. And a couple of anomalies close by, but not as much food, I don't think. We may want to settle down here, but let's take a look around the region first. So we have our army. We start off with a settler, a hero, and 2 stone sentinels. I am going to break the stone sentinels off of the army. We have already encountered a minor faction. Think of these guys kind of like the city-states, but it's a bit more complicated than that. So these are the Yotis, or the Jotis, 2-headed wolf dog monster people thing with machine arms, apparently. I don't know. Again, it's complicated. But let's explore a little bit, see if we can find anything else, anything really compelling that might change my view on where we ought to settle. We are starting off relatively close to a coast, which is interesting. That could be a compelling reason to settle further over here, depending on what we find. Ooh, 8 industry right here. Ooh, some good stuff. Let's take my hero as well. I'm going to detach him. Actually, where's the stairs? How do we get up here? This is all cliff. We have to go down here? Ouch. Let's explore a little bit down this way. We have found some silics. I like these guys a lot, but we'll come back to them in a little bit. That's a lot of industry right over here. Holy crud. We could start off with so much, and a pretty good amount of food if we want to continue expanding out this way. That would be nice. We'd have to delay ourselves by about a turn to settle our city, though. 13 food, 22 industry, 6 science, and 5 dust to start us off. That's a really good start. I kind of feel like we have to do this. It's going to delay us by a turn, which hurts. If I were to build, like, over here, 9, 12, 10, 14, I think food and industry is more important. Nothing really compelling over here. Nothing really compelling over here. This just seems like such a winner. Granted, we could start closer and kind of work our way over this way, but I think this is the best. All right, we're going to delay ourselves by a turn, but this is a really solid tile. I think it is going to be well worth it. In the meantime, let's continue exploring our new home. I want my hero to explore these ruins, if possible. It's actually going to be a little bit awkward. How do we transfer into new regions here? These cliffs are going to make for an interesting defense. Huh. All right, so anyway, we're already out of moves, so let's go ahead and end this turn and move on. We're going to claim this region for our own. These little minor factions over here, if we get the right technology, we will be able to talk to them, get some sort of quests. If we can fulfill a quest for them, they will be pacified and join our empire willingly, and we can assimilate them into the empire and gain some bonuses from them. Or alternatively, if they have a quest that we don't want to do, we could just go, conquer them, rebuild it, and forcefully integrate them. That is certainly fine. Let's go ahead and place our city. 1322, that's solid. So solid, I love it. All right, there it is. Our city rises out of the ground, and this region has been claimed for the Kapaku. Unfortunately, it looks like we are surrounded by disgusting greenery on all sides. No more volcanoes, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to expand into a new region. I'm going to send my hero this way to explore the ruins and get some extra experience. You are going to explore this direction. You are going to explore this direction. Let's see what we can find. Sisters of Mercy, another minor faction. Okay. I am not seeing any other players yet. That is good. I am hopeful that we are not going to run into anyone too soon. So these ruins kind of work the same way you might expect in Civilization. You can search them and gain some sort of a benefit. In this case, we gain some spices, which is a really good start, and a little bit of science. The ruins don't go away. Some of them do provide different bonuses, like as the Kapaku, we get extra science for every ruin. Eventually, we can actually unlock more rewards from these ruins, so they never really go away. You always want to keep track of where your ruins will be located. Let's go to our city. Now, one of the big changes you're going to find in Endless Legend as opposed to Civilization is population. Your workers can be moved between the various different types of resource, and this is a really solid way of increasing the production of your city. Like, you might think, like in Civilization, you want to just build a lot of really good buildings, and that certainly is a thing. You can do that. Have a really small but really well-efficient city with a lot of buildings, or it is a very viable strategy to build tall, get a ton of population and move them around between what you need, and they'll work. It's a very flexible game. I like that a lot. If we leave in food, we're going to grow in 2 turns, which I would say is probably worth it. For our starting building, we could go for the Center of Mineralogy, which gives us extra science per population. So instead of getting 4 science per turn by moving this guy over here, we get 9. You can imagine how much flexibility you get depending on what you build in the city and how much population you have. We could build a Founders Memorial, which gives us extra food, dust, industry, influence, and science right off the bat. This is influence, by the way. We'll talk about that later. And the Geomic Labs, which give us extra science for terrain that already has it. In this case, it would be just a total of 6 science. I don't think that's really worth it right now. We're going to go for the Founders Memorial, just because it's a good standard opening. That's going to take 3 turns to build. We could speed that up to nothing, actually. We just want to grow then. Never mind, that's fine. We could also build a glass steel extractor or a titanium extractor. Those are strategic resources, which we can use to upgrade our units. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, though. Let's move on into turn 3. Wait, never mind, we need to start with some science. Okay, so here's a scientific screen. There are several ages in the game, 6 of them. And you need to research a certain number of technologies before you can move on into the next one, but it doesn't matter what you research, as long as you've researched something. It's broken up into military, science and industry, empire and expansion, and economy and population, just for your reference. Right here we can see that there are geomancers, a new unit that we could research. There's military science, mercenary markets, boarding vessels, and so on. I think we want to start off with some basic industry. I think I'm going to work on the mill foundry, which gives me an extra 6 industry on the city, plus 15% as well. Since we already start off with 22, that's a substantial amount of extra productivity, so we're going to do that. And then afterwards, I think I'm going to move on to the cultivation tech, which allows us to build a seed storage and get extra food during the summer. Okay, so that's going to be our science for now. We'll come back to more of this. You'll learn more as we go. Actually, one thing we can talk about real quick are the legendary deeds. We start off with a legendary deed that there's 3 for every age, and only 1 civilization can accomplish all of them, but they get some sort of a benefit. There's a wonder that you gain for every age. If someone builds it, they'll get some bonuses. Wealth Harvester, if we were to gather 30 units of 1 luxury resource, then we would gain a reward, namely influence and happiness. Okay. And Visionary Leader, if we can pacify 8 villages, we get a reward, which is extra initiative on units. For those of you who've never seen this game before, you're going to have no idea what's going on, and I'm so sorry, but there is a lot to cover. So, now that we've established our first city and gotten this all going, let's talk about the Kapaku and what they are good at. We are born of ash. We can only see, gather, and use food on volcanic terrain. We have extra health regen on volcanic terrain, and we gain bonus stats when fighting on volcanic terrain. Okay, pretty sensible. We have Shaman's Knowledge. During eclipses, the Kapaku can locate confluxes in their own and explore neighboring regions. You have no idea what a dust eclipse is, but we'll see more of that later. Endless Fascination. Extra science received for every successful ruin search. That is huge and really adds up over the course of the game. Also, extra science on terrain with ruins. Stargazers. We can always predict when the next dust eclipse is going to begin. You'll see more of that when it starts. Volcano Formation. We have a special army action to use volcano-forming terraforming devices. Our unique technology is the Golem Camp, which allows us to, well, this is I'll show you how this works later, but this is really strong. Siege engineering. As we siege down our enemies, we can build up stockpiles and use industry in other nations or other cities. The Geomancer is a basic range support unit that can buff our units, make them stronger. The Golem Rider is a basic cavalry unit, pretty fast, relatively strong. Not too bad. And the Stone Sentinel, which we already started off with. These are my infantry units. They are pretty tanky, but don't do a ton of damage. But they have the added benefit that eventually, as we complete our faction quest, we will get 0 upkeep on these guys. They will be free to field, which is really powerful. And we started off with the Alchemist Furnace and the Topography. All right, let's move on into the next turn, turn 3. We are about to get our faction quest. Here it is. From the Journal of Custodian Actel. Ash buries all in time. But still we mark the pages and pass down the stories before the all-consuming fire comes. Auriga frightens. Vast, sparkling blue oceans, crisp green plains, snowy wildernesses. A sickening panorama, not unlike the hellscape the machines made of our world. 12 and 5 fire births we have witnessed, cowering and huddling in the shadow of the Endless's great vessel that carried us to this world. Why they saved us, I know not. Time untold we slumbered in their cold crypts, held in dreamless sleeps by strange machines beyond our understanding. Too long, I fear. Upon our arrival, we discovered several intelligent life forms on the planet. It seems Auriga is not the clean slate the concrete made it out to be. Overseer Elohis claims to be as shocked as we are, for what that's worth. For all it's done for the Kapaku, the thing unsettles me. Ancient living brain entombed in a walking coffin, at once magnificent and macabre. I often spy at enkindled conference with custodian Tua, but she never shares of what they speak. More qualms. Her name would be the last on my lips as one to succumb to fanaticism. Her mind is a grindstone, a pragmatic and tenacious. But I confess, the burning reverence for the Endless that has sparked among my kin disturbs me. Yes, they saved us, but as we Kapaku say, only the flame gives its warmth freely. For now, I must put these doubts aside. The time has come to strike out from our Savior's cradle. We will make Auriga our home, even if others already claim it. Descending in the Endless's great vessel, we spied nomadic trails, scattered hamlets, even bustling metropolises. We will start with the villages in whose midst we find ourselves. So there is an ongoing faction quest for every different faction, and it's different in the story. It's different in what kind of goals they will give you and what they reward you with. Some of them are quite powerful, some are kind of meh. For the Kapaku, we basically discovered that we were decimated by the Endless, or whatever their evil faction was, and brought here, and now we have to set out into a new home. You already know all of this. We need to secure our position in this new land, make sure we have 5 units of any single strategic resource stockpiled while ending a turn, and they will reward us with 10 quicksilver. All right, so you already know what strategic resources are: titanium and glass steel. Primarily, they are used to customize your units. If you look at Stone Sentinels here, you can actually edit your unit templates, and eventually will unlock strategic weapons and armor using those resources, which are very powerful. Also, you'll use strategic resources to build special kinds of buildings. The Kapaku are special in that we use it to build our volcano-forming machines and travel around and turn things into volcanic tiles. That's how we terraform. So that's going to become very important for us later. Let's go ahead and move this direction. Lots of hills and cliffs. I like the idea of this being a very defensible terrain. Let's go ahead and explore this ruin. We get some glass steel already. Okay, so our faction quest is already going to make some progress. There's our glass steel. Dismiss. We will send you this away, I think. You're going to go over here. So here's the Silix. I like these guys a lot. We definitely will want to take them for ourselves. We found the Nidya, a flying minor faction. They give different benefits depending on who you've assimilated, and, you know, just everything's different. The Silix, well, actually, we can take a look at this right now. No, we can't. When we actually pacify something, we can look at this in a little bit. So there's our strategic resource right there. We also have luxury resources. That's what the spices are. So is Quicksilver, so are a whole bunch of others. Spices are really good. You get an extra 50% food on cities if you use it. The cost for using your booster goes up the number of cities you have. It's going to cost us 10 spices to activate the booster for 10 turns. If we had another city, it would cost us 15, and so on and so forth. All right, everyone is done. Let's move on to the next turn. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, I suspect, but it's a complicated game. It's really good, though. Our long journey beneath the stars is over. We have gotten our single resources, so they give us 10 Quicksilver, which gives us extra XP on units and more approval. Not bad. We must strike good terms with our closest neighbors, pacify all villages within our capital region, and that will unlock Mercenary Market for free. Very good technology. So we could do that right now, actually. If we wanted to bring these guys back home, we could go pacify this one village. Actually, probably worth doing that right off the bat, because I would like to get Mercenary Market for free. I think 2 units will be enough to kill them, so we're not going to worry about bringing over the 3rd. Let's search this ruin. I prefer to search with my heroes while I can, but, you know, we're not going to be able to. You get experience for your units when they do actions like this. I want my hero to level up. We got some dust and science. A little bit more dust is certainly going to be quite good for us. Let's explore this ruin as well. More dust and science. Okay. Remember that not all civs will get any science when they explore. That is just the Kapaku. We already have a second citizen. We can go ahead and move these guys to industry. What I'm going to do is build up the mill foundry. So you do roll over your extra production between buildings to the next one, hence why I'm okay with doing this. But by moving both of these guys over here, we get an extra 8 production at the cost of 8 food. So we grow a little bit slower, but the mill foundry is going to be really powerful for us because we've started off with so much industry. I think everybody has moved, so we are good to move on to the next turn. Now, combat in this game is very different than Civilization. It's not just like a right-click and you're done. It opens up a whole new battle map, which is going to be interesting. Let's move our Stone Sentinel over here. We're going to move our hero over here to join up, and let us attack these guys. If we had the right technology, we could talk to them and try to make friends, but I want to move on with my faction quest. So we need to kill these guys. Now, let's take a look at stats real quick. You can see we have our life, speed, which determines how fast we are moving, attack value, which is your chance to hit, defense, which is your chance to resist damage, initiative, which has to do with who goes first. It calculates turn order, and damage, which calculates how much damage you're going to do to the enemy unit. Our hero is pretty fast with good stats all around. Our Stone Sentinels have pretty good defense, but not a lot of attack. These guys have pretty good chance to hit, but don't do an absolute ton of damage and aren't super tanky. Mostly they're just fast. Now, we're going to go ahead and say ready to fight, and what's going to happen here is it's automatically going to move our guys around into this battle map, and we have to choose our starting position. I think we're going to go ahead and start with our guys right up front and ready to attack. I don't need them coming and chasing after us. They're faster than we are anyway. So let's say that this is probably a pretty good starting formation. And I'm going to have my hero move to attack these guys, and our Stone Sentinel attack them as well. We're going to try to burn down one unit at a time. Let's launch the attack. It is done in turns, so you really do want to kind of predict your enemy's movements. Oh, these guys are ranged. I didn't realize that. Oh, that's actually pretty good for us. The Kapaku do not start off with a ranged unit. All right, so we're going to have this guy attack and charge after this ranged unit. Ranged units are really weak when they're in melee range. Stone Sentinels should be able to finish this one off, and let's begin the next round. So go ahead and jump in there, do 56 damage. Okay. And we should be able to kill that one off. Now, because we attacked this unit first, it got to use a counterattack against our hero, which is why they took damage, but why they did not get to continue their next attack. Their action was taken up by a counterattack. And you can really abuse that if you're smart by pinning down units so they can't move or attack, and then following up with something else. For now, we're kind of stuck in one position here. I think my hero's going to have to do the bulk of the damage. And there we go. These guys have been pacified. Boom. Now we got to finish our quest. We get Mercenary Market Technology for free, which unlocks the Mercenary section and Heroes. We can now hire some new heroes and mercenaries. Quest 2, Other Skins. From the Journal of Custodian Actil, the night terrors assail me every eve. Half-truths, half-fantasy, they are born from my memories of the last days on our old world. Wave upon wave of killer machines moving ever closer to our last remaining settlements, crashing against our golem defenders, whose numbers dwindle every day. Beyond them, I see our beautiful world is already gone. Sturdy grasses covering what was once lava plains. Volcanoes smoldering into dormancy. The air disgustingly clear. And then our endless saviors arrive, smashing the machine menace, but when Overseer Lohis reaches me, he offers not a hand, but a fist. I always awake from that moment, stone cold. Auriga is not only settled with crude other skins. Our scouts have unearthed more ancient mechanisms, intricate, complex devices that couldn't have been fashioned by any of the races we have come across. Even our best tinkers are bewildered by the intricacy of the craftsmanship. There can only be one conclusion. A great civilization once occupied this world. I watched Custodian Tua carefully as the truth was announced at the Magma Council meetings. She knows more than she lets on. Overseer Lois claims ignorance and plays down the implications. The galaxy is ancient, it says. Who knows what races spread across the stars in past eras? Today they are gone and only primitive tribes remain. Auriga is still yours to make in your own image. You have our blessing. A solemnity has fallen over the Kapaku. There are stirrings of a schism. Some whisper that we must learn more of these other skins before we act further, while others murmur that we must strike while we have the advantage of surprise. There is but one thing agreed by all. We must be prepared. Now is not the time for ideological disputes. Our survival is at stake. Alright, so if we can start finding allies and assimilate a minor faction, we will gain Shaman's Insight. Stone Sentinels will have no military upkeep. Really, really powerful. We can field a huge infantry army and not dwindle all of our dust. I mean, that's good. Can you tell that I'm excited by that? That's really good. The Kapaku are really powerful. All right, let's see. I'm going to explore a little bit more to my south. I kind of want to find out what's going on over here. Who are these guys? More Silics. Okay, now I like the Silics a lot. So if we look over here, we can actually see what happens if you assimilate a minor faction. If we spent 30 influence, which we're only gaining 2 per turn, we would be able to make these guys into, we kind of embrace them into our nation, and we would be able to build their units as if they were our own. They have range, obviously, only 2 though, so it's pretty short, not that great. Free counter, okay, that's not bad. If we assimilate them, we also would get extra vision for every pacified Jotus village in our empire. We only have 1, so we would get half of a vision for everyone. That's not that great. These guys are kind of weak, honestly. The range is tempting, but beyond that, meh. Silics I like a lot, because they give you extra strategic resources, and we're going to need a lot of it because we're playing as the Kapaku. All right, let's see. So you guys have already used up your movement. You've used up your movement. 2 more turns on the Mill Foundry, and then that will be done. I think we're going to go ahead and get started on some extractors after that. So let's do some titanium and some glass steel. Also rebuild the Jotus village. Even if we decide not to assimilate them, we will get 1 extra population from the people that we welcome into our empire. And in fact, I actually think that that's a higher priority than the... Can I move you up here, please? There we go. I think that's a higher priority than the titanium extractors because extra production translates into either extra food or production. All right, moving on. All right, so let's see. 5 more turns on cultivation, which is something new we'll want to build. We will be able to finish up the Jotus village probably by the time that cultivation is done if we wanted to stay focused on industry. I think as soon as this mill foundry is done, we move back over to population. Can I... No, I still need both if I want to finish this in 1 more turn, and 15% extra industry is pretty substantial, so we're going to keep that. Let's move these guys over here, continue to explore. Okay. Nothing new there. Let's go find these ruins. I want my hero to gain experience. Now, you do pay an upkeep cost for every individual army you have. Armies have a capacity to how many units they can have. Right now, it's 4, plus a hero. So we have our hero and 1 unit. That's 1 out of 4 done. Same over here, 1 out of 4. There are technologies to increase the size of your armies from 6 to 8 and so on. But every unique army you have does have its own upkeep cost, which is one of the reasons we lost a lot of dust at the beginning of the game. I don't think there's anything else to do. Let's go ahead and move on. Now, we do want to keep in mind expansion in the near future. Let's see. 3 turns and we can finish the Jotus village. Or 4. If I did this, though, we could still finish it in time to build cultivation in the seed storage and still get some extra food production for population. I think I would rather do that. Let's go search the ruin. Interesting. There's a lot of anomalies over there. If we build a geomic lab, we will get some new technology, sewers. That's really nice to have. And we already have the technology for geomic labs. Sometimes the ruins do not give you straight benefits. They just give you a quest, as that one did. That's not too bad. Mineral rich, a gold deposit. That's a luxury resource. Let's explore over here. So here's the Nydia village. Okay. You guys are going to go... You can go down this way. I think we're going to go over here instead, though. March all the way around the Silics. There's another ruin. Just looking around this region. Now, we don't see any food here by default because none of it's volcanic. But if we terraform the region, we're going to get a lot more. What I'm looking for are some really compelling anomalies, and I'm not seeing any right now. Which is very unfortunate, because I want the Silics, but you can only assimilate them in your empire if you own the region where they are located. As of right now, we do not. Let's move on. So, Endless Legend is a game that I want to get really good at. I really do. I'm not there yet. I wouldn't even say that I'm the best in terms of civilization either. But I think this is a really cool game. It has a lot of potential. So I want to get good at it if I can. But there's a very real possibility that I'm going to lose this campaign. I'm not going to pretend that I will guarantee to do well. You know, don't bother watching because I'm going to win. It's not true. There's a very good chance that I am going to lose. So just keep that in mind. We may not have a happy ending in this, but it'll be a learning experience one way or the other. All right, so we've got our seed storage done. We could move on to the language square and start talking to these minor factions rather than kill them, and I think we probably want to do that. No point in getting sewer system because we might get that for free. Search party. Increase the odds of getting something from ruins. Can be good, but I'm not sure it's worth taking up one of our technology slots. More dust would be okay. We are not on any rivers, so I don't need this. This is what technology you would need if you want to extract any luxury resources. I don't think we have any in our home region, but the neighboring ones do have some. Golden stuff. Let's see. Military science, probably not. These are the technologies you need to turn strategic weapons into... strategic materials into weapons or armor. I think we probably want to go for the public library to get an extra 10 science and then 10%. But then after that, we're going to work on the language square. If we can get 4 more technologies, we move on into Era 2, which is pretty quick, actually. That's really fast. So let's go ahead and explore this ruin, like so. Extra dust and science. Love it. Go ahead and explore this one as well. Okay. You guys, I'm just looking for any compelling place to plant down another city. Here's another Nidya minor faction right there. We've encountered the boss centaurs, basically, over here. All right. Yeah, this is the region I want to colonize next. The only anomaly I found are some black dust over here. It'd be a very bare bones city, depending. But I'm going to continue exploring it. This is where we're going to end this video, though. I'm going to continue to do things in only half-hour increments. I hope that's okay with you guys. But I'm really looking forward to this series. I think this has the potential to be a really, really fun campaign. I hope that you guys are looking forward to it as well. Do bear in mind, I will make some mistakes. That is part of learning how to play the game. I'm okay with that as long as you are. But by the end, I hope that we discover that this is a game that is worth playing again in the future. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, then be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.